This is a section taken from the extended edition of my series What is the Age of the Ring mod. The Age of the Ring Total Overhaul mod for the classic RTS game The Battle for Middle-earth Rise of the Witch King has a ton going for it, so let's take a look at smaller aspects of it at a glance, like the story of their original faction of Haradwaith. As part of the diverse and engaging aspect of the mod, storytelling is incredibly important. Every single unit of all 11 factions have their own original stories, with various parts of the well-established factions like Isengard having branches of all new units like the Dunlendings. All of their original stories can be found in the AOTR canon section of their wiki page for ease of reference, and each of their units and heroes has a short summary of their story at the top of their page, as well as in-game. And of course, you can find more in the map descriptions as well. To give an example of a bigger story they're telling in AOTR, perhaps my personal favorite story of theirs in general is that of the faction of Haradwaith, and specifically its faction leader, the Golden King. A shadowy figure, he ruled the various peoples of the south from the ruined desert city of Abra Khan, a name of dread from another age long since lost to time, until Sauron began to regain his strength in the Third Age. The Golden King then took up his rule of fear once more to guide Sauron's policies of war directly, as only he could, using various war chiefs and rulers' animosity towards Gondor to fuel the fires of war, such as your heroes Suladan, Karan Lanbar, and Black Numenorean rulers Baruthiel and the brothers Cassimir and Burodapan, who ruled from the infamous city of Umbar, home of the feared Corsairs, a blight upon Gondor for millennia. Baruthiel was the concubine to both the brothers Cassimir and Burodapan, bearing great influence over both and consequently holding great power over Umbar. Living up to her namesake after one of Gondor's nefarious queens, she also employed the unorthodox means of cats to spy on her enemies, but who was only a pawn used by dark forces in service to the Shadow. As for Cassimir and Burodapan, these brothers' animosity towards Gondor was matched by that which they harbored towards one another as co-heirs of their father, the former Lord of Umbar. Yet the promise of the spoils of a destroyed Gondor united them, and the lure of taking vengeance upon Aragorn himself, who under the alias of Thorongil killed their father and did great harm to their fleets in decades past in his service to Denethor's father, Ecthelion. Thus, under his banner did Cassimir lead the might of the Black Numenorean lords themselves, bitterest enemies of Gondor who harbored a deep, abiding hatred towards its people for generations, while Burodapan led the Corsairs to ravage the coasts with the aim to sail up the great river as the last unstoppable armada which would spell certain doom for Minas Tirith. It is this great force which Aragorn and the Great Company overcame at the great port city of Pelargir with the aid of the Oathbreakers. Directly under the Golden King was his advisor, Siar Rul, who controlled a priestly sect which worshipped Sauron, who to them was known as Zigur. These cultists were led to worship through human sacrifice in an effort to call forth the power of Sauron's own defeated master, Melkor, from the void into which he was cast by the Valar so long ago. But Siar Rul's chief enforcers to ensure obedience amongst the adversaries of the Golden King were of a mysterious order of assassins known as the Hasharan Blades, founded by Siar Rul himself, removing strategic enemies without a trace. Under Siar Rul's fearful auspices and his offer of great power, he united the otherwise disparate tribes who had long warred against Gondor as much as against themselves, ranging from the debatable southern stretch known as Horondor to the further south and to more mysterious lands and peoples. It is from them that Suladan hails, known as the Serpent Lord, a great and noble but misguided leader who went on to play a part in the Battle of the Pelennor Fields under the banner of the Black Serpent. Amongst these lands and further south into the wide deserts, a peaceful people of simple nomads can be found, known as the Amazir, a people known for their hospitality to strangers and trading stories along the way. There were also traders with caravans selling wares from distant lands in the markets of the south. These lucrative traders at the many bazaars and markets of the south helped to fill the coffers of the Haradrim for the war on Gondor, and places of safe refuge along the way. Amidst the deeper reaches of Haradwaith beat the drums of lesser-known peoples to the march of war, such as the Mahuddin, who have a close natural connection with the great Mumakil, around which their rites of passage revolve to produce brave warriors, many of whom wanted nothing to do with war, but who, like so many, were forced by the fear of the Dark Lord into it, enforced directly by Siarul and his terrifying cult of Zigur. Within the misty jungles of mysterious Far Harad dwell the now subjugated warrior people of the Nafarati, great huntsmen of the dense, dark jungles whose beastmasters could tame even the most ferocious animals, from whom comes your hero, Chief Karan Lanbar, who with many of his kin have been captured and tormented by the sorceries of the Dark Lord to be made into great beast-like men, fed by rage and pain to destroy Gondor. Deeper still within the domain of Haradwaith lay secret cities of great wealth and power, such as the fortress of Haidar, made in ancient times by the great seafaring Numenoreans themselves to protect a great oasis. But in the jungles lay in waiting the temple of Karna, where dwells a mysterious, unnamed evil guarded by a people just as mysterious and dangerous, the Watchers of Karna, who appeased this evil through even more human sacrifice, and a mysterious horn. It is said the Corsair Lord of Umbar, Burodapan, discovered and explored this mythic lost city of Karna, finding there and taking for himself the strange horn, which possessed great power over his enemies, and which he placed upon the prow of his ship, the Black Dread. To him the Watchers of Karna gave their undying loyalty, serving him in his own aims in the War of the Ring. All of this and more was under the command of the evil Golden King, whose true identity was known to very few, one of the Ringwraiths themselves, a great king of the south seduced by one of the 9 rings of power. Only one of such tremendous power could direct all this during the War of the Ring. This is the overall story being told. Many great details have been skipped over for brevity, such as the personal story of Baruthiel's coming to power by shadowy means, or how the Golden King could transform creatures and men into brutes, but you get the gist. There are some amazing story articles found on their ModDB page if you want even more great detail. ModDB isn't just for gameplay updates after all. And so much of this story just told is reflected in dialogue specifically crafted for this purpose.
You will never find the lost city of Karna.
Along with abilities and powers and how you progress through them. This applies to normal units all the way to heroes and spellbook powers. Naturally, the same principle applies across all the factions. Nearly everything has a story-driven purpose behind it. This attention to detail truly brings Middle-earth to life in ways no other mod I've ever seen can, and makes the game feel like a natural part of that wider world as you're playing and exploring. More to come on this later in the series.
Our order is ancient. Our plight eternal.
So if you're not someone who gets too deep into their original stories,
It serves no one.
you may be a little lost to see something called the Horn of Karna, but at least you'll have a little bit of working knowledge to give you some greater context.
Bring forth the
Guards, secure!
This is all to reflect a philosophy the developers decided on way back in the beginning, as you can see from this old article on ModDB for the first announcement on their mod's name. By the way, while Age of the Ring itself dates back 8 years ago, it actually has its roots even further back in its immediate predecessor, the Horse Lords, a mod which initially aimed to bring back Rohan as a separate faction into ROTWK. If you haven't already, by the way, why not download this amazing mod? It's fast, free, and as easy as one click. Download link is in the description, and I have a great installation guide on my channel here.